You know, I'll start the video out by saying this. I still have hope for this country. I still have hope in mankind. I was at Costco today, and a gentleman came up to me and said that he watches the show on a regular basis. His name is Mike. Mike, if you're watching, thanks for coming up today. And if you ever see me in public, feel free to come up and say hi. I think it's great to meet people who watch the channel, and I've met a lot of people over the years that do watch. But Mike and I had a conversation for probably 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer. We talked about a lot of things, and it's refreshing, and it just gives me confidence that there's still hope. There is still hope, that there's still good people in this country who are awake, who are aware, who are preparing, who are walking the walk, and people that just know what is going on, and people who care and love this country and care about the direction that it's going in, who care about the people, their fellow brothers and sisters. They care. And so I want to thank Mike for coming up to me today, having a wonderful conversation. It just gives me hope, confidence that this isn't over, that there is a chance that this country can still make it, because there's people like Mike, there's people like you who are going to do everything they can in order to do whatever they can to save this country, to make a difference. And if they can't do anything, they're at least going to do something for themselves or for their own household. Maybe we don't have the power to control the deficits or the budget or the debt, but we can always do something at home to improve our own situation at least a little bit, not to give up, to keep grinding, to keep praying, to keep fighting. We got to keep the hope alive, ladies and gentlemen, but it's so good to know that there's good people out there, like-minded people, and I want to remind all of you, you're not alone. I know a lot of people think, I'm the only one that thinks like this. Nobody I know is aware of what's going on. I'm the only one, and people are very, very stressed out. They think that they're the only one that sees what's going on. Let me reassure you, there are millions of people that are awake, that see exactly what you're seeing taking place in this country right now. You are not alone. And we cannot give up. We cannot stop praying for this country. We cannot stop believing in what we believe in. We cannot stop promoting what we believe in. We can't go out there and be quiet. We got to continue to express our beliefs. We got to keep praying. We got to keep waking people up. You know, God is just not going to like appear out of the clouds and do all the work for us. He's leaving this to us. How much do we love this country? How much do we believe in it? How much do we want freedom? How much do we want the ability and right to say what we want to say? God is just not going to appear out of the clouds and do everything for you. He sent David out to fight Goliath with a sling. He didn't fight Goliath for him. God puts people in charge of their own destinies. We all have free will. If we want America to fail, all we have to do is just give up on it, stop believing, and not care, and it will fail. And maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. But God gave us something, and it's up to us. Do we want freedom, or are we just going to give up on that and let that go too? Because once it's gone, it's going to be gone forever. Once this country's gone, it's gone forever. So don't think that God's just going to appear out of a rainbow and the clouds and perform a miracle. He is leaving it in our hands, in your hands. And as Mike and I spoke today, know where you're going after this. But while we're here, we're going to grind it out, and we're going to try to preserve what we have here as a country. And when we leave here, we need to know where we're going. So again, thanks for coming up and saying hi, Mike. It was a great conversation. A couple articles I want to share with all of you today as we wrap up this Friday. Make sure to check out my morning video today. I dropped a little bonus video this morning with Enrique Reacts last night. Fox Business, Americans shatter fundraising records after Charlie Kirk's tragic death at university event. So on Give, Send, Go, a giving platform, so far they've raised over $2.8 million. So a lot of love for Charlie Kirk, that is for sure. Again, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. New York Times, after Charlie Kirk killing, Americans agree on one thing: something is seriously wrong. Would you agree? Comment down below. I think that there's more than one thing seriously wrong in this country. There's a lot wrong in this country right now. But comment down below. What do you see that is seriously wrong in America? I think taking the life of somebody that is expressing their beliefs and their ideology, their thoughts, taking the life of somebody, I think that is completely wrong. That is not what America stands for. That's what people sacrifice their lives for, so we could have freedom of speech, so we could have dialect, so we could debate one another. It's a sad day when we no longer can do that. What I see happening right now, what I've been seeing for a number of years now, is the rule of law. You know, when we talk about rule of law, having no rule of law, you take a look at what's happening with Chicago, the shootings every day, every weekend, the school shootings, the one that just took place, I believe, in Colorado, this young woman on the subway in Charlotte who lost her life. How does all of this end, ladies and gentlemen? This is now a country that I see is without rule of law. There's complete disregard for human life, disregard for the police, disregard for law, disregard for you, your assets, everything you work for. People have just fully lost all respect for human life. And we watch these people celebrating and cheering the loss of life of Charlie Kirk. And I will say this, shame on TMZ, because you know what you did. The people there at TMZ cheering on and laughing the loss, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is the society we live in now, where people just think it's a joke. Somebody lost their life. It's funny. 2 kids now don't have a father. And all this a person did, like Charlie Kirk, wanted the best for America, wanted people to have a good life, freedom, to be able to pray to God, believe in God, live a good, clean life, have a job, have a safe place to live. That's all that he wanted. But this is now where we're at in America, and it is a very serious time. There are very serious things wrong with America. Comment down below. Let me know, what are your thoughts? What do you see that is really seriously wrong with America? What do you see as the most problematic things now in America? Is it without rule of law? Is it the economy? Is it the mindset of the average American now who is so callous to the loss of life? Comment down below. Civil War. The term Civil War mentioned surge online after Kirk assassination. Civil War was mentioned over 120,000 times on X on Wednesday. Thursday, Civil War was mentioned more than 210,000 times. Is this now becoming probable? Is this something that we're going to see in our lifetime? I pray to God that cooler heads prevail. I pray that this is defused. I talked about this, probably 7 years ago, and was laughed at. Had a law enforcement officer come out and say that this is absolutely impossible. I'm crazy. This could never happen in America. And here we are, the most divided I have ever seen this country, the most financially impaired I've ever seen the United States of America, and the most morally disrupted I've ever seen the United States of America. And people continue to think that things can't happen to America. Nothing can happen to the US dollar. There could never be a civil war. There could never be an economic collapse. Nothing bad could ever happen to America. These people are out of their minds. They cannot face reality. I will say this, I'm sure that law enforcement officer is not laughing today. I'm sure, I hope he doesn't think I'm out of my mind now, because he is watching the evolution of a civil war right now taking place. And we are now technically, I would say, in a civil war, a very low level, but this could escalate very, very quickly. And again, I pray to God that it is diffused. I pray to God that cooler heads prevail. And this is the last thing that America needs. This is something we never want to see in America. But you are watching this escalate like I am. And you should be very, very concerned. And you should be prepared for anything at this point. We're in 2025 and things are escalating. Things are accelerating. Do not be one of these people that just, says it can't happen. I'll leave it in God's hands. Please don't be one of those people. God gave you free will. God put you here. God doesn't always come to the rescue. He's not going to come flying out of the rainbows and out of the clouds to come rescue you. I've said this many times. You know, when God put David out there to fight Goliath, he gave him a sling, and that's it. God could have destroyed Goliath. God could have done all the work, but he let Goliath do it. He put Goliath in that position. Like many other people in the Bible, like many other people in history, he uses men and women to do things. He gave us free will. How much is freedom worth to us? How much is the United States worth to us? I still believe it's worth fighting for. I still believe it's worth praying for. There's no other place I want to live. There's no other place I want to be. There's no other country I love more than the United States of America. And I thank God that I'm here. Some people were born here. Some people made it here. However you got here, you're in the best country still to this day, the United States of America. And you should be damn thankful. You should be on your hands and knees tonight thanking God that you're here in the United States of America. This country is still worth saving. Comment down below. Billions in losses. Retail crime has surged 93% in progressive cities. These are the facts, ladies and gentlemen. These are the facts. The National Retail Federation reported U.S. retailers lost $110 billion in 2022. Between 2019 and 2023, retail theft surged 93%. 93%. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this. And the article goes into depth. Check this out on The Hedge. Crime is far more than empty shelves. It is the loss of jobs. It's falling property values. It's higher taxes. It's weakened reputations. It puts banks in very vulnerable positions because those buildings, when they're empty and nobody's paying the lease or the rent, well, that regional bank is eating it. Tax base. Those cities don't get the tax base. This affects so many people. So it's not just empty shelves. So many other things. And we're going to continue to see more of this. And we've been watching this take place for years, and it's continuing. Here's another one today. Armed BLM agitator yelling F. Charlie Kirk, beaten up, arrested at Idaho Vigil. His name, Terry Wilson, a real dirtbag. This loser showed up wearing, had a concealed weapon, also had drugs, was arrested for carrying a concealed weapon without a license and being under the influence, a real class act. Why would anybody go to a vigil of somebody who just lost their lives and scream profanities and then try to start fights with people? He got his ass kicked. Police came in, saved him. And then what did he do? He started screaming obscenities again, started more fights, got his ass kicked, and was arrested. This is exactly what we're talking about here, where people have no regard for human life, no regard, respect for the family who just lost their husband, father, son, no regard for the people who showed up, who wanted to show respect. This piece of garbage, carrying a gun illegally, under the influence of drugs, yelling obscenities, no respect for law, no respect for people, no respect for the dead, no respect, period. So he got what he deserved, and I'm all for free speech, but going to a vigil, verbally assaulting somebody who just lost their life, getting physical with people, agitating a crowd, under the influence and carrying a weapon, I have no sympathy for you whatsoever. There are just so many people in this country who I think are suffering from mental illness or just a spiritual demonic influence, possession. It is definitely no doubt a time of spiritual warfare where we are watching good versus evil. And I hope and pray that you know what side you're on, and I pray that you're on the right side of this. But you know, all these people laughing and cheering the death of Charlie Kirk, just absolute scumbags. I mean, at least if you didn't like the guy, at least have some respect for his two kids, his wife, and his family. You know, if you didn't like somebody and they passed away, I mean, you got to be a real lowlife to do something like that, because maybe you didn't like him, but have some respect for the family and the kids. Now these kids are going to grow up with no father. An American who lost his life for doing what he believed in, making sure that everybody had the right to talk and speak, the ability to debate the differences, and yet we cheer his death. This is what we are. This is where we're at in America now. It's absolutely disgusting. It's very, very disturbing that this is how Americans act now. Open Door Board Chairman Ray Boyce says company is bloated, needs to cut 85% of workforce. Keith Rabois, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Open Door's new chairman, said the company needs to slash 85% of its workforce to fix its cost structure. Rabois said this: we have 1,400 employees. I don't know what most of them do here. I don't know what most of them do. We don't need more than 200 of them. So more layoffs coming, ladies and gentlemen. More layoffs are coming. Major U.S. car dealer goes bust, and latest terrifying sign Americans cannot pay their debts. This on the Daily Mail. Tricolor, who provides auto loans to families with poor credit or no credit, has filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 7, they're done. They're done. Their demise is yet another warning for the U.S. economy that it is sinking. Americans are racking up record debt, and record numbers of Americans cannot pay down their debt. I've never seen so many problems here in the United States of America, and it's getting worse. Here's another one today coming from The Hedge. America's grid is nearing its breaking point. It's under significant stress due to rapidly increasing electricity demand from AI data centers and electronic. Here's another one today from The Hedge. America's grid is nearing its breaking point. It's under significant stress due to rapidly increasing electricity demand from AI data centers and electric vehicles. It's vulnerable to bad weather, to cyber attacks, physical sabotage, and many other things. I ask, are you prepared if things went awry? Could you last 2 weeks without electricity? We're in 2025. Not too many people now are laughing about a lot of this because they know that these things are very, very real. Are you prepared if the power went down for 2 weeks, 2 months? Most Americans are not. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have preparations. When you look at the technology now that Iran has, Russia, China, we're getting hit thousands of times a day. It's only a matter of time before something big hits America. And the majority of Americans, 90+% of them, are going to be left in the dark. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be desperate. They're going to be scared. They're going to be in big trouble. And that means you're going to see more trouble on the streets. When people get hungry, they're going to get crazy. You know, again, when I was talking to Mike today, we were just talking that, you know, we cannot control these major events, right? But we can control what's happening in our households. We can control what we're doing. Make sure you're preparing. And, you know, when you think about it, how could you really take full control of a country? Shut the power down. Financial systems are down. The crypto's down. The ATMs are down. The banks are down. Stores are down. It's all down. You shut the power down, people begin to go hungry. They can't bank. They can't do anything. Big trouble. So be very, very cautious because we are now in 2025. Anything is possible. Many countries have the technology to do this. Yes, we can do it to other countries. They can do it to us. And many of them can do it to us worse than we can do it to them. So be cautious, be prepared, and just be getting yourselves better. You know, as I leave you today, have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. Make sure you're exercising situational awareness and make sure you're surrounding yourself with strong people. Make sure that that circle of friends that you have is strong. Strong people, a tight-knit group. Make sure you're polishing those skills. Make sure you're adding to the food and water. Make sure you're buying a little extra gold and silver, putting a little more cash away, and just getting stronger, getting faster, maybe taking on a side hustle. Build up a little bit more capital. Get the debts paid down. There's so much every one of us can be doing right now. A little bit goes a long way. Hey, if you can only put two weeks of food away, you're better off than 90+% of this country. If you could put 2 months of food away, you're doing great. You're doing great. I'm going to leave it there today. Have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend. Take a minute, thank God for everything you have, and ask God for direction and pray for this country. We're in big trouble. You know it. I know it. It's spiritual warfare. And if we don't pray for this country, if we don't stand up for this country, if we don't support this country, it's not a perfect country. But it is worth fighting for. It is worth not giving up. It is worth praying for. There's no other place I'd want to be. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to give up. God bless. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Take care.